Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herald here on Badlands Media. I'm your host, Jon Herold, and lots to discuss today on the heels of Trump's meeting with Xi, what he called the G2 summit, which is interesting. If you guys tuned into last night's Power Hour, we discussed some of this, and I've been looking forward to seeing what was going to come out on the other side of it, and we're getting some hints, getting some commentary, not too many specifics yet, but we'll go through all that. JLo in the chat says, rumor is Nick Fuentes is joining Badlands. I can put that rumor to bed right now. That is not true. I don't know if that'll be a disappointment to you guys or not, but I'm sorry, he will not be joining. Ship last night had a great interview, Shipwreck, with MTG. I encourage you guys to go check that out. It's fantastic. Absolutely fire clip about taxes, which I think everybody should consider. Not tax advice, not financial advice, and the official stance of Badlands Media is that everybody should pay their taxes. Just keep that in mind. But we also encourage you to be free thinkers, so take that for what you will. The Fed lowered interest rates. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Didn't lower it as much as Stephen Moran wanted, but yeah, we'll get into it. Bay Arthur's Dick, is Tucker Carlson joining Badlands? That we're still in negotiations. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, let's get a quick word from our sponsors of today's show, and we'll start plugging away. Hold for processing here. There we go. I got it. Stack Sats with River, the Bitcoin only platform, built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. Why River? Zero fee recurring buys. You can stack Bitcoin effortlessly, hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly. 3.8% Bitcoin interest on cash. FDIC insured, no minimums, withdraw anytime. Expert US-based support, human help, plus private client services for the big buys, which is over 100,000 plus. Business accounts, you can boost your balance sheet with Bitcoin and earn 3.8% paid in Bitcoin. It's got a top-tier wallet, send and receive and manage Bitcoin securely, unmatched security, full reserve custody, multi-sig cold storage, and proof of reserves. Join the Bitcoin revolution at badlandsmedia.tv/river and earn real returns starting today. And then if you're going to get Bitcoin, you got to get cold storage, which is why you got to go to badlandsmedia.tv/trezor, TREZOR, and that's where you get your cold storage wallet. Over 2 million users since 2014 have trusted Trezor. I am one of those. That's where I store my personal Bitcoin. Haven't actually done that with the little we've gotten with Badlands. We still do our treasury. But yeah, we're not quite rolling in it there yet. So maybe someday I will. Spencer, thanks for posting that link. That's the link to Ship's interview. Perfect timing. Just finished DPH from last night. Yeah, it was a fun one. But all right, so let's just get right to it. What do you say? No update on the Doge website. No update on the presidential website. Hopefully we'll get something here when Trump gets back stateside. I don't even know. He might be by now, but I don't know for sure. The shutdown still continues. No end in sight. No problem here. And then we got True Social posts from Trump. We're going to go through a few of these, kind of go through the timeline of yesterday that I thought was pretty interesting. So right off the bat, he's in South Korea, and Trump posts this on True Social. South Korea will be building its nuclear-powered submarine in Philadelphia shipyards right here in the good old USA. Shipbuilding in our country will soon be making a big comeback. Stay tuned, President Donald J. Trump. And then we had Scott Besson even comment on that this morning.
President Trump agreed last night with the president of Korea on a historic deal that is going to bring shipbuilding back to the U.S. And the Koreans are great shipbuilders. The Japanese are great shipbuilders. So we are going to integrate our shipbuilding with our Western allies. And Maria, this is what leadership looks like. When the U.S. leads, the world follows. And President Trump has been doing that. I've been fortunate enough that over the past 9 months, I've seen President Trump in action. I saw him at the G7 in Canada with the Europeans. I saw him at the United Nations, where he gathered, I would guess, 85% of the Muslim-speaking world in a room that set the stage for the deal in Gaza. And then 2 days ago at the ASEAN conference, we had the leaders in Asia. And it is the respect for President Trump in all three of these groups that is allowing U.S. leadership to reassert itself. And this is what is going to matter for the U.S. economy, the American people, and the free world. We're all moving forward together with his leadership.
Amen. Love that. So yeah, the shipbuilding coming back to the United States. And this is obviously this morning, so it's on the heels of the meeting with Xi. But before we even get to that, I want to point this out. I thought this was so interesting last night. So 8:04 p.m. my time, which I don't even know what time that would be in Korea. What time is it in South Korea right now? So right now it's 2:06 a.m., which would mean, man, that's like, are they ahead? Oh yeah, so it's Friday there. So that is 14 hours ahead. So if my math is right, 14 hours, 8:04, man, do not want to do this math. So 8:04 a.m., 10 a.m. over where he's at, okay? And he's about 2 hours away from meeting with Xi at this point. And he goes, the United States has more nuclear weapons. Actually, this might even be an hour before this meeting. The United States has more nuclear weapons than any other country. This was accomplished, including a complete update and renovation of existing weapons during my first term in office. Because of the tremendous destructive power, I hated to do it, but had no choice. Russia is second, and China is a distant third, but will be even within 5 years. Because of other countries' testing programs, I've instructed the Department of War to start testing our nuclear weapons on an equal basis. That process will begin immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And we'll talk more about this and the story as we go through, but I kind of want to go through the timeline first of everything, because I still think it's fascinating. This is a low-key threat, in my opinion. Trump is like dropping his dick on the table, pardon my French, and like, look, I'm about to go meet with China. We have way more nukes than you, and we're going to start testing those nukes because everybody else is doing it. That's his excuse. But I think this is like a subtle little threat. And then right after this post, 4 minutes later, he posts, the G2 will be convening shortly. So he goes from, we have more nukes than anybody, we're going to start testing them, and we're going to start building everything out, to, oh, by the way, I'm meeting with China in a little bit, 4 minutes apart. I think it's hilarious. And then it actually did happen. We have them greeting each other.
Mr. President, the President of the People's Republic of China.
Question in the chat. Political mutt, did they ever go to Fort Knox and audit the gold? What do you think? Of course they did not. And they probably never will.
Good to meet you. Great pleasure to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Me too.
And we're going to have a very successful meeting, I have no doubt.
I really just like hold hands.
But he's a very tough negotiator. That's not good.
Like if as long as they're shaking hands, right? If they're using opposite, if they're both using the same hand, right hand or left hand, whatever, and holding hands this long, it's not awkward. It's business-like. It's professional. But if they were like, if Trump's left hand was holding Xi's right hand right here, then it'd be gay. Isn't that funny? Isn't that weird? But yeah, that's a long, like that's a solid 25 seconds of hand holding, but professional hand holding. And then this is right on the heels of that meeting. And I got a bunch of posts on this. Trump has a whole post himself of him describing the meeting. There's this video first, actually. Let's do this.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with a friend of mine, really for a long time now, if you think about it. The very, very distinguished and respected President of China. And we will be having some discussions, I think, We've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now. But President Xi is a great leader of a great country.
Okay, everybody's commenting on my thing. I know they do it for the pictures. I understand why they do it. I was simply commenting on if I were doing that for the pictures, or if they were doing it for the pictures but holding the other hands, it wouldn't look as professional. I get it's for the pictures though. Bayopistic, it's only gay if Trump is grabbing his ass from behind. See, that's what I do when I'm shaking hands with the bros. Badlands Media, John's gaydar is strong. I guess that's a compliment.
And I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time. And it's an honor to have you with us. Thank you very much. Well, thank you.
I love the optics of these meetings. Only one female there, Susie Wiles. I don't know who's this front guy, front right. Who is this? I don't know who that is. Bessent, Rubio, Lutnick. I don't know who's at the end there. Can't see it. Lutnick's in the way. Is that Greer, maybe? Trade representative? Okay, anyway. So then on the heels of that, the first thing he posts on True Social is this: worked really hard, 24/7, took in trillions of dollars, and Chuck Schumer said the trip was a total dud. Even though he knows it was a spectacular success, words like that are almost treasonous. Almost. And then here's the long post from Trump about the meeting. I had a truly great meeting with President Xi of China. There is an enormous respect between our two countries, and that will only be enhanced with what just took place. We agreed on many things, with others, even of high importance, being very close to resolved. I was extremely honored by the fact that President Xi authorized China to begin the purchase of massive amounts of soybeans, sorghum, and other farm products. Our farmers will be very happy. In fact, as I said once before during my administration, farmers should immediately go out and buy more land and larger tractors. That's funny. I would like to thank President Xi for this. Additionally, China has agreed to continue the flow of rare earth, critical minerals, magnets, etc. openly and freely. That's like the one I was looking forward to the most. And I think there's more commentary we'll get to from him on the plane. Very significantly, China has strongly stated that they will work diligently with us to stop the flow of fentanyl into our country. That's a biggie. They will help us end the fentanyl crisis. China has also agreed that they will begin the process of purchasing American energy. That is an interesting one. I think they get a lot of their energy, if I'm not mistaken, from Russia. I think they get some from Iraq or Iran. I'm not a Middle Eastern or Chinese geopolitical expert, but I'm pretty sure India maybe. In fact, a very large-scale transaction may take place concerning the purchase of oil and gas from the great state of Alaska. That is based. Chris Wright, Doug Burgum, and our respective energy teams will be meeting to see if such an energy deal can be worked out. By the way, speaking of Doug Burgum, I don't know if you guys have seen this retard on Twitter saying that Doug Burgum owns Badlands. Bill Gates owns Badlands through Doug Burgum, through me. Just to clarify, it is kind of an interesting coincidence. Doug Burgum on his financial disclosures has like Badlands Media LLC out in North Dakota listed in there as like him being on the board or owning it or something. I don't know. But when I went to start Badlands, I came up with the name first, Badlands Media, right? And I went to get the LLC in North Dakota, and it was already taken. So like, well, that sucks. And so then I went through registered agent, and we found it through Wyoming. So we are registered in Wyoming. Doug Burgum does not own this Badlands Media, but retard's gonna retard. Anyway, the agreements reached today will deliver prosperity and security to millions of Americans. After this historic trip to Asia, I'm now heading back to Washington, D.C. I want to thank the great countries of Malaysia, Japan, and South Korea for being so generous, gracious, and hospitable. Also, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam, who were at the dinner last night, hosted by His Excellency Lee Jae-myung. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being brought into the country because of them. Our nation is strong, respected, and admired again. The best is yet to come. And then we got some clips from him on the plane. Some of them are funny. This one's great.
Discuss basically, these are rough winds in Asia. I must tell you, this is a rough flight. We could have waited an hour, maybe. These are a little tough. These are tough conditions for interviews. You know, they're going to be watching Trump. They're going to say, he didn't look too good. He's got the shakes. I don't have the shakes, but people are going to think I do.
You're pretty solid. So Ukraine.
Discuss.
I don't have the shakes, but people are going to think I do. So funny. Okay, so here is Trump's comments on the chips. Actually, let's do this one first. Yeah, we'll do this one. Okay, this is Trump's initial comments on the meeting.
I thought it was an amazing meeting. He's a great leader of a very powerful, very strong country, China. And what can I say? We have, it was an outstanding group of decisions, I think, that was made. A lot of decisions were made, too. There wasn't too much left out there. And we've come to conclusion on many very important points, and we'll be handing that to you in a little while. We're having, because there was a lot of different things, many of them very important.
So Trump thought the meeting was amazing, and here is what he says about the chip stuff.
What about chips, sir? Did he agree? Did you agree to sell any more down
chips? We did discuss chips, and they're going to be talking to NVIDIA and others about taking chips. Look, we make great chips. NVIDIA is the leader. And I'll be speaking to Jensen.
I'd love for one of these times when he's like, we're going to be talking chips. They're going to be talking to Lay's and Barrel of Fun. And we're going to be coming to an agreement on those nacho cheese chips. But no, they're talking about obviously the computer chips, semiconductors.
NVIDIA, but they're going to be discussing that with NVIDIA to see whether or not they can do. I said that's really between you and NVIDIA, but we're sort of the arbitrator or the referee. It's a little rough up here. The skies are a little rough.
And just to clarify, sir, that is the downgraded Blackwell chips. You would authorize those to be exported?
No, not the Blackwell. We're not talking about the Blackwell. That just came out yesterday. But a lot of chips, a lot of the chips. And that's good for us.
What about chips, sir?
And then talks about the soybeans, I don't think, and working on shutting down the fentanyl. Here's this comment on nuclear testing, which again, we'll talk about this here in a little bit. Oops. Hold for processing here. I got to share that screen first. There we go.
It had to do with others. They seem to all be nuclear testing. We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. We've halted it many years ago. But with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also.
Any details around the testing, sir? Like where, when?
It'll be announced. We have test sites. It'll be announced.
I'm actually kind of looking forward to some of the testing that we do. I wonder what they mean by that. Like, are we going to do some the nuclear testing? Like, what was the site called? What do you guys know what the site was called? I mean, it's not Area 51. There's like the place Bikini Bottom. Is that the real name? Like, I want to see videos of the nukes going off, the new nukes. And then the final thing he commented on that I want to talk about is this Ukraine. I thought this was interesting.
Ukraine came up very strongly. We talked about it for a long time, and we're both going to work together to see if we can get something done. We agree the sides are, locked in and fighting, and sometimes you have to let them fight, I guess. Crazy. But he's going to help us, and we're going to work together on Ukraine. There's not a lot more we can do. He's been buying oil from Russia for a long time. It takes care of a big part of China. And, I can say India's been very good on that front. But we didn't really discuss the oil. We discussed working together to see if we could get that war finished. It doesn't affect China. It doesn't affect us. And I'd like to see it done on the basis. I don't like to see 6, 7, 8,000 young people, mostly young people, for the most part soldiers, be killed.
There's that number again. 5, 6, 7, 8,000 soldiers killed every day. Interesting that China is going to work with Trump to end the conflict there. Like, is that how we're going to see the Trump-Putin-Xi meeting? Is in reference to ending the conflict in Ukraine? Because that'd be interesting. But yeah, let's go through the actual story here of what we know so far. And a lot of this, I've kind of already covered because it was what he said on the airplane and in the True Social post. But Trump said the summit was amazing. He rated the discussions as 12 out of 10, which means it's like off the scale, guys. It was so good. 12 out of 10. Before the meeting, and actually 12 out of 10, before I even get into this, 12 out of 10 is basically what people rate our GART conferences. And speaking of that, you should all get your GART tickets in person if you can make it. It's next week, or virtual ticket. We're doing an exclusive live stream here today at 2:30 Eastern. So you guys can come hang out with us. It's only for ticket holders. So if you want to come hang out in the chat, those are pretty casual, kind of like an OnlyLands vibe, but we talk a little bit more about what we're going to talk about at the upcoming conference. You guys should get your ticket. So watch this promo.
Here on the sun-kissed shores of Cocoa Beach, where the ocean meets the horizon, the Great American Restoration Tour continues on November 6th through the 9th, 2025. Badlands Media gathers patriots like you, not just to talk, but to rebuild. From truth-telling panels to unbreakable bonds, we're restoring the soul of our nation, one conversation at a time. This is the heart of the Space Coast, where the rockets defy gravity and dreams touch the stars. Feel the thunder of innovation that powers America forward. Together, we're not just healing the past, we're blasting off into a brighter tomorrow, a future where truth prevails, families thrive, and America leads once more. Join us in Cocoa Beach. Get your seat or your virtual stream pass now at badlandsmedia.tv/events. Launch is imminent, and you don't want to miss this liftoff.
Sassy Gal in the chat says, see you in Cocoa Beach. Unite for Freedom is a vendor. Selling nothing, sharing vote irregularities nationwide. Come see me. We will come see you. Looking forward to having you there and meeting you. The bunny has FOMO. She's missing this GART. We'll miss you too. There's another comment I saw. Oh, Red Pilled American 21 says John Badlands should have a channel on truth. We would be fine doing that. We'd love to have one. But they are selective of who they choose. Like you don't just get to start streaming to Truth Plus. You have to, I don't know, go through some approval process. I haven't looked at it in a while, so maybe I'll check that out again. Or see if I can pull some strings with some connection, call in some favors. We'll see what happens. But anyway, okay, let's talk a little bit about this, what we know here. Before the meeting, Xi told Trump, I always believe that China's development goes hand in hand with your vision to make America great again. Our two countries are fully able to help each other succeed and prosper together. I think that's interesting commentary from Xi. And that is what Xi said. Trump confirmed that U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports will be trimmed to 47% from 57%. 10% cut. Notable. And it's not a very big cut. I mean, like, it's a big cut relatively, but like 47% is still a pretty high tariff. Anyway, with the reduction is tied to Beijing's pledge to crack down on fentanyl trafficking and resume large-scale purchases of American soybeans and other agricultural products. Xi, Trump said, will work very hard to stop the flow of fentanyl. China also agreed to pause newly imposed export controls on rare earth elements for 1 year, maintaining the flow of minerals critical to U.S. manufacturing, defense, and energy industries. This is what I was like keen in on in the lead up to this, because about a month ago, we get that story from Trump, like right after the Hamas deal. Trump got super offended that Xi Jinping and China sent around these hostile letters, he called them, about their export controls, and made this huge issue when really, like, China was like, we're not really doing anything. We didn't actually change the export control stuff, whatever. And then on the heels of this, it's for another year, nothing's changed. Like, so nothing actually changed, but Trump almost manufactured this problem, this crisis in the lead up to this meeting. And now on the heels of it, he gets to say, yeah, I got them to stop their export control stuff, when really nothing changed. And I think that's interesting. They also reached a consensus on expanding agricultural trade and addressing ownership issues surrounding the app TikTok, which Trump has sought to bring under U.S. control. Both nations will suspend there's a spelling here. I'll have to let our person know. It should be tit for tit, not tit for tat. Tit for tit port fees on shipping, a move aimed at easing tensions in the global freight and shipbuilding sectors. Trump said China will be purchasing American energy as part of a broader economic partnership, signaling that a major deal may soon be reached involving oil and gas exports from Alaska. His administration has been promoting a proposed $44 billion LNG export project in the state. In a True Social post following the summit, Trump said the new agreements will deliver prosperity and security to millions of Americans, and he thanks Xi for his cooperation. He also announced plans to visit China in April ahead of hosting the Chinese leader in Washington later next year. Shortly before the meeting began, Trump authorized the U.S. military to resume nuclear weapons testing for the first time in 30 years, citing the growing arsenals of Russia and China as justification for the decision. And we'll talk about that, like I said, here in a little bit. So interesting stuff. The meeting happened, the G2 summit, and it seems like we're moving forward. The things I'm looking to see specifically is how much energy and gas they end up buying from us. I want to see the details of like the fentanyl, like what are they actually going to do to shut down, and will it actually have an effect to shut down? And then the TikToks thing is interesting as well. You know, let's see what happens. Oh, and then obviously the Ukraine war, how they're going to work together to end that conflict. Okay, I may have other stuff on the China deal or China meeting, but if I do, it'll be out of order. Yesterday, the Federal Reserve cut the key interest rate by a quarter point. Federal Reserve lowered its key interest rate by 0.25 percentage point on Wednesday, setting the new target range at 3.75 to 4%. In its FOMC statement, the Fed said the U.S. economy continues to expand at a moderate pace, though hiring has cooled and unemployment has edged higher. Inflation has risen slightly since earlier in the year and remains somewhat elevated. Officials said the rate cut reflects a shift in the balance of risks, noting that downside risks to employment have increased in recent months. The Fed also announced plans to end its balance sheet reduction program on December 1st, signaling a turn toward looser monetary policy after 2 years of tightening. The decision was not unanimous. 2 members dissented, one favoring a larger half-point cut and another preferring no change at all. And the one who wanted a larger cut was Steve Moran. So notable. Cindy Lee 000. I got a Sunday ticket trying to get out of work Friday. Does my single day ticket get to join today's stream? Not the event live stream, but the one you mentioned today. It should. You should have gotten a link. Spetzel Doug Burgum can get you on True Social. Yeah, I doubt it. I actually don't have a connection to. I don't know how to get on. I used to have a buddy who I went to high school with, used to work in his real estate business in Fargo well before he ran for governor. But I haven't talked to that guy in a long time. We tried to get him for an interview too, but on this show earlier this year and couldn't make it happen. CanCon. Is CanCon in the chat? I don't see him. CanCon, any mention of China's purchase of our land? I don't think it got brought up, but that is an issue. I don't like any foreign country owning United States land. Period. I don't like any foreigners owning United States land. It's ours. Keep it in the family. What else? Leewald, I'm curious, would he have mentioned the China police in our states? I don't think so. John, wasn't Trump supposed to meet with Kim? There was like rumor Trump said he was open to meeting with Kim, but as far as we know, the meeting didn't happen. So I don't know. And if it did happen, it was in secret. We got more on this Arctic frost probe. It's really expanding pretty rapidly. Jack Smith subpoenaed over 400 Republicans in Arctic frost probe. Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley on Wednesday revealed 197 subpoenas issued by former special counsel Jack Smith targeting more than 400 Republican individuals and entities in the FBI's Arctic frost investigation of President Trump. Subpoenas obtained through whistleblower disclosures were sent to 34 individuals and 163 businesses and requested testimony, communications, and financial records, including communications with major media outlets such as CBS, Fox News, Fox Business, Newsmax, and Sinclair, exchanges with members of Congress and White House advisors, including Stephen Miller, Dan Scavino, Jared Kushner, and Laura Trump, donor and fundraising data, as well as broad financial information on conservative individuals and groups. Grassley called the investigation a fishing expedition. That is certainly what it was. And accused partisan FBI agents and DOJ prosecutors of targeting the entire Republican political apparatus. If this happened to Democrats, they'd be as rightly outraged as we are, he said, adding that the subpoenas were being made public to allow Americans to draw their own conclusions. A full list of subpoenaed organizations and individuals has been compiled by Senate Judiciary staff here, and I haven't actually read this document, but I will. I guess it's not that long. Probably just take a peek together. They wanted, I saw Mark Meadows on here. Where'd that go? John McEntee, Save America PAC, Mark Meadows. Oh, I wonder if Sidney Powell. Stephen Miller. I want to see if Chris Miller's on here. Man, Steve Miller's in a lot of groups. Christopher Miller right here. Elections LLC. What? Christopher Miller's in that group. I want to see if Boundary Channel Partners is on here. What is this right column? Subject for which testimony documents. Okay, so document name, subpoena recipient, and then subject for which they want this stuff. Okay. Jason Miller. Hold for processing, guys. I just want to see if I can find. I mean, I guess I could just search Boundary Channel Partners, but I think I'd rather just see where else Christopher Miller pops up. Is that just it? Okay. What about Tata? No. Who else might be? Watnick? No. Patel? No. Ratcliffe? No. Boundary Channel Partners isn't on there. Interesting, though. Yeah, so there you go. I believe this investigation, I think I've said this multiple times now. I think this is clearly part of the Rico Grande investigation. I think a lot of the disclosures we're getting from Chuck Grassley, they seem to be the FBI, the DOJ, whatever, they're doing their investigations. They're giving some of it to John Solomon, and maybe it's Chuck Grassley first, and then Grassley's giving it to Solomon. I don't know the order of operations here, but a lot of it seems to be coming through Grassley's office. A lot of the Durham classified appendix stuff, like that came from Grassley's office. John Solomon's the one who's been leading the story part of it, the narrative part of it. But I do think it's all connected, clearly. And so I do think this stuff is interesting. I'm still more so like, I want to see the stuff from Trump's first term, the time period from before Trump even got elected in 2016 up until he left office on January 20th of 2021. And this is activity that took place in the Devo term. So it's not that it's not important. This is more cover-up stuff and political persecution. It's all part of it. But I'm really curious about the things that took place during Trump's first term, because I think some of that stuff is going to be able to shed light on devolution-related items. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm keying in on. This stuff doesn't excite me as much as like a classified appendix from a Durham report, let's say. If that makes sense. Anyway, let's keep plugging away here. Actually, did I even finish that story? I think I did. Yeah, I did. I mean, this is kind of related. FBI memo opening Arctic frost probe into Trump was thin on evidence and justification, experts say. And this is what John Solomon said last night. You know what? Let me pull up that clip. I think it's better if you just hear it directly from the horse's mouth. I think it was The Storm Has Arrived who had that clip. Yeah, right here.
Joe Biden's inner circle covered up for the country the fact that he was in mental decline and that he was so unavailable to do his job on a daily basis that the staff secretary, probably the most important person in the White House, the guy you see next to Donald Trump every time he has a press conference and he's signing a document, Will Sharf, well, Joe Biden's version of that person, Nara Tanden, didn't see him for 6 to 8 weeks at a time. She had no idea whether he'd approved the documents that were coming through her hands. He was an AWOL president in decline, and the people around him misled the American people. That's what this report says. And then the man sitting right next to you on the screen, Jim Jordan, releases some bombshell documents today in this other investigation. What do we know now? We know that the memo that the FBI used to open up Arctic frost, which then targeted 160 Republicans, 92 conservative groups, 8 senators, 1 House member, a president, and a vice president, was really deficient under the guidelines of the FBI. The memo that opens up Arctic frost uses words like evidence suggesting. It doesn't actually lay out a predicate. And it's looking at a crime that by submitting alternate or fake electors, as they use, or fraudulent electors is the term they use here, they committed a crime. The memo does not address the fact that in 2 prior times in American history, similar fake, fraudulent, or alternate electors were submitted in South Carolina, 1876, Hawaii, 1960, no prosecution occurred. That isn't even mentioned in the FBI memo. So bombshell stuff from Jim Jordan and James Comer today.
What are you interpreting from these discoveries? And the question I get asked most often, you come up with all this information and nothing ever happens. Now, things are beginning to happen that never happened before. Where do you see this going?
Well, I think Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are going to continue to provide extraordinary clarity to Chairman Jordan, Chairman Comer, and others to get the evidence to make the decisions about whether crimes were committed in this process. What you're seeing in Arctic Frost is a redo of Russia collusion, a weakly predicated case that looks like a Democratic opposition research project being done by the FBI, and you got the National Archives and Congress helping them. I think that that's what this is going to turn out to be, another Russia case.
You see a prima facie case that they abused power and were spying on people without a proper warrant?
Yeah, I think the chairman has it right. This is a get Trump investigation. Now the question is, what laws were violated? Did people lie? Did they cover up? Did they commit crimes? Did they violate civil liberties? That's going to be Pam Bondi's decision. I think the grand juries are starting to really ramp up around the country. I think we'll see some more activity in the next few weeks.
We shall see what happens. Gator Rob, I went to get virtual GART ticket and I can't process without a coupon code. Shouldn't need a coupon code. I haven't heard of that happening before. Let me hold on. Let me take a screenshot of that, of your comment, and send it to our tech team, which is Mrs. Bright. Where is that at? There we go. Hold for processing, Gator Rob. Unless you figured it out. If you did, let me know. Okay, and then I gotta find Mrs. Bright here. Okay. Anyway, back to the show. My bad. Apologies for that interruption. Where was I? Oh yeah, anyway, I think it's all connected to the Rico Grande, and that's pretty much where I'm at on that. So let's see what happens. I already covered that story. So, like I said, some of the stuff's out of order. Don't need to rehash it. Trump and Xi. Some stuff about the Democrats in 2028. I don't really care about it. I had it pulled up, but the story, the 2025 campaign trail becomes popular stop for Democrats with eyes on 2028. Transportation Pete Buttigieg speaks during a campaign rally for Virginia Democratic gubernatorial candidate Abigail Spang, whatever her name is. I am curious to see who ends up coming out on top, but I think it's stupid to talk about even the midterms, let alone 2028. So I'm not going to get too ahead of myself there. Here's a story on Trump instructing the Pentagon to start testing nuclear weapons on an equal basis with Russia and China. President Trump on Thursday vowed to begin testing nuclear weapons on an equal basis with Russia and China, heralding, oh, they spelled it wrong, should be OLD, a potential major shift in decades of U.S. policy at a time of growing tensions between the world's nuclear armed superpowers. Trump made the announcement moments before his highly anticipated meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Busan, South Korea, for what had been billed as make-or-break talks intended to restore stability after almost a year of trade and economic turmoil. CNN has reached out to the White House for comment. It was not made immediately clear whether Trump was referring to a nuclear weapons test or a test of nuclear-capable weapons system. Not since the 1990s has one of the world's three major military powers conducted a nuclear weapons test, with China having conducted its last known test in 1996. Why do you think that is? Why haven't they conducted any actual nuclear weapons tests since the 90s? The last U.S. conducted nuclear test in 1992 when it began a voluntary moratorium on such explosive testing. It's also not clear how quickly it could do so again, with an August report from Congressional Research Service saying it would take 24 to 36 months for the U.S. to test a nuclear weapon after the president. How is that freaking possible? If they have a weapon, they can just do it now. They can test it now. Why do they need a lead time like that? That makes no sense. Know what they should do to test it? You know how they're showing us all these clips of these drug smugglers coming to the United States and they're like blowing up the boats with regular bombs? Just drop a nuke on one of those. You can kill two drug lords with one nuke. Two birds, one stone. We can see how the nuke works, and we can take out a drug smuggler in the process. I think that'd be pretty funny. And then we can finally see if the nukes are real. But can you imagine him posting that on True Social? We have finally tested our nuclear capabilities by taking out a 3-person drug boat on its way to the United States. Anyway, it talks about Washington closely watching China and Russia as they develop advanced weaponry, blah, blah, blah. And I also think, let me read this. Russian President Vladimir Putin earlier this week said that the country had tested a new nuclear-capable Berezovsky cruise missile and a nuclear-powered torpedo known as the Poseidon, which the Russian leader boasted was without rival, according to Russian state media. With some 6,000 warheads, Russia has that, and the United States with nearly that many account for 90% of the world's arsenal, according to the Union of Concerned Scientists. What a dumb name for a group. But how do we know for sure, like, any of these numbers? And that's just the numbers they are allowing us to know about, if they even exist at all. Could be totally made up. I have no idea. I also have no skin in that game. If nukes are fake, then the story of nukes are just being used to, like, scare us, right? World War III, nuclear war, it's a fear tactic. If you don't fear what these people are telling you, that doesn't affect you. And if they are real, it doesn't matter anyway, because if they do end up using them, like, we're effed. So to me, it's like, I don't care. I don't care how many nukes they have. I don't care about the fear tactic stuff. Doesn't affect me. I think it's silly, but I'm curious to find out. I want to see some tests. I want to see some drug smugglers nuked. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Thursday that Russia would act accordingly if any country withdraws from the moratorium on nuclear testing. So Trump, I'm assuming, was talking about testing weapon systems, not like the weapons themselves, like Russia did, because that's what he said. He's like, I'm going to do what the Russians are doing, what everybody else is doing. But we'll see. There's a story of FBI arresting 9 people in a pre-dawn raid over June Los Angeles anti-ICE violence. The FBI conducted a pre-dawn operation on Wednesday, arresting 9 individuals connected to violent clashes during the June 8th anti-ICE protests in downtown LA. Suspects allegedly threw rocks, fireworks, and Molotov cocktails at federal agents in California. Go to jail, straight to jail. Minneapolis mayoral candidate waved a Somali flag. Omar Fatah, Democrat farmer labor endorsed state senator running for Minneapolis mayor, addressed a Somali language rally where supporters waved the Somali flag and encouraged early voting through November 4th. You're in our country. Get the hell out of here if you're going to be waving that flag.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Somalia. Hiran State. Mawisle. Early voting was hadda illa November 4. I need your vote. I need you. Hadan Udkina, hello. We're gonna win.
Unbelievable. I got a clip from Kamala Harris here. I'll play this.
Do you think he wanted you to win the election?
I do, because I was the only one who would be able to preserve his legacy.
But even that's about him.
Well, if I had to assume one of the reasons why he'd want me to win.
She was going to preserve his legacy. So stupid. She's so dumb. This is a weird, like, apology to her, isn't it? Like, why does she have any relevance anymore? She's not in government. She's a terrible candidate. Her book sucks. Not that I read it, but I'm just assuming. Like, why are people interviewing her? Are they just trying to trash Joe Biden? If anything, she's trying to damage his legacy. I just don't get it. Just shows out how out of touch these media people are when they think it's like, oh, let's go interview Kamala Harris. Let's get her opinion on what's going on today. So stupid. We have this story. The National Guard is creating a quick reaction force in all states. This is a weird one because I thought we already knew this. There was a report that came out like a month ago, I want to say, where they were talking about doing this and how they were going to do it. But now it's like official, you know, here, a memo dated October 8th. We already knew about that memo, but it's cycling through again. The National Guard will create a quick reaction force in each state, totaling about 23,500 troops that are trained in crowd control and civil disturbance, according to reports about a leaked memo. So, yeah, cool stuff. And then we have this. The House Democrats have officially opened an investigation into the Trump administration's use of private platforms like Truth Social and X for government business. Formal letters sent to both companies demand preservation of all communications, including Trump's private messages with administration officials and foreign governments. Translation: if Trump used X or Truth Social to discuss U.S. policy off the record, those messages are now federal evidence, according to whoever this Brian Allen is. No idea who that is, but this is the letter. Please be advised that an investigation is underway regarding the Trump administration's use of unauthorized messaging platforms for government business. As a social messaging platform with private messages capability, X Corp is in possession of information and records that are critical to this investigation and any related investigation. Accordingly, the letter services a formal notice to preserve and not alter, delete, blah, 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 blah. Do you think Trump is DMing with like Putin and Xi on Twitter? You think that's how that works? I mean, maybe he is. I have no idea. But it would be funny to find out. Beatrice Dick, John, this feels like a preemptive move for the Insurrection Act. It could be. It very well could be. But maybe not. Maybe this is just something that should have. It's more like the militia. It's what the founders intended for the domestic military, right? People who weren't like full-time but are ready to go if something happens, if British invades. Red Pilled American 21. John, I reached out to Truth Plus support and put in a good word. If they contact you, consider that my resume for a business development position at Badlands. I mean, we'll take you. I just don't know. Hey, if you want to do business development, we'll take you, but I pay you on commission. You eat what you earn here. So you'd only get paid based on how well you do. Ramon222, by the way, X is under serious attack. The entire For You section is all lib posting now. What I wish Truth could do is their search function. I don't like it. Their search function kind of blows. Like Twitter's has got it fairly nailed down. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. So don't forget, I'm going to be doing the exclusive live stream with some of these other Badlands hosts here in a little bit, 2:30 Eastern. So make sure you tune in for that. Get your guard tickets. It's the only way you can. It's the only way you can really watch. So, Red Pilled American 21. I'll legit be contacting you. Shoot me a DM on Twitter. It's probably the best way, or an email. But yeah, other than that, guys, is Ghost going live today? No, that's tomorrow. Let me see what else is on here. The Choice episode 3 is today. By the way, they do a great job. I listened to about 20 minutes of it today while I was show prepping. Ghost and Ash do a fantastic job with that show. Fantastic job. I'd encourage you guys to check it out. But yeah, other than that, I think that's all I got for you. So I'll see you guys in a little bit on that exclusive chat, and then I'll be back again tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Daily Herald. We'll get out of here with some tallow bar talk, and yeah, and the outro. So hit that thumbs up. We'll see you guys later.
Before skincare went synthetic, people used something simple, something real: tallow. Grass-fed and finished beef tallow is packed with vitamins A, D, E, and K. Nutrients your skin actually knows what to do with. It locks in moisture, restores elasticity, and defends against winter dryness. No water, no preservatives, and no BS. Unlike plant oils or chemical creams, tallow mimics your skin's own structure. Elbows, hands, knees, post-shave, anywhere your skin's crying for real moisture. Perfect for gifting or keeping your own skin soft when the cold hits. Visit softdisclosure.com and use promo code Badlands for 15% off. Ancient Care, modern truth.
Soft Disclosure.